I'm not used to sitting so close to you guys.
I know,
Yeah,
it's kind of
waiting
cozy.
here, right? So we'd like to do something different this time. We're gonna do a quick little thing where we're gonna talk about 5 tips or cautionary tales or pointers or encouragements, but 5 things that perhaps you should consider preaching on Christmas Eve. Lots of visitors, so what we're going to give you those just like kind of good nuggets to wrap your mind around when you sit down and you get ready to prepare that Christmas Eve sermon, what to kind of watch out for, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what we're going to do.
That's what
Let's
you
get
said.
after it then.
I have loved the evil way, spit on my Lord in every way, yet I'm still welcome.
Okay, so 5 tips for preaching Christmas Eve. Number 1, and this will kind of flow throughout all of them, but one we all talked about, and this is something for every Sunday, but definitely on Christmas Eve, is know your audience.
Yeah, I mean, rhetorically, every Sunday you should know your audience. But your audience is not your same audience on Christmas Eve, right? Your audience is different. Your audience is at least, in most churches, a third people that aren't normally your audience. And so know that. Know why you're saying what you're saying. Know you're talking to a group that, while they might know the story, they don't know it well. They come to church 2-3 times a year, or maybe when their mom makes them, right? I mean, you know, it's so know your audience, and in knowing your audience, make sure that you're not preaching them about how they need to go to church more. This is not the opportunity for that conversation. You actually have a much better opportunity, which we're going to talk about in a little bit in one of the other points. But this is a different opportunity.
So in knowing your audience, you can't just assume what you would assume with a normal Sunday morning gathering of your people, that common understanding of the faith, common metaphors even in your preaching preparation might not be there. So you got to kind of know
whip out
that.
your Christianese, whip out your Christianese dictionary.
That's
and,
right.
And
That's right.
stuff.
That's
Yeah.
right. Which leads us into probably a temptation folks have, because we do this all the time as preachers. You're always preaching. These texts come up every year, and that is point number 2: is stick to the text.
Yeah,
right?
that's a good one, and I have personal experience with this one. Is in probably 3 years in, when I said, you know what, I've been growing up in this text. I know this text in and out. I've preached this text now for 4 years, and
Secretly, you're saying you're bored with this.
right, kind of,
Yeah.
and it's like,
Yeah.
and expecting that the people want something different. And so my point is, stick with the Christmas text in Luke. They don't want Colossians chapter 1, which I think is actually where I went. And especially kind of also knowing your audience, right? They might know the story well, but they definitely don't know the tangents of it.
Right.
And if they're there to hear the Christmas story, and you take them in an entirely different direction, it's going to be off. So
And the Christmas story is pretty good.
we're celebrating.
It's pretty good.
No, it's kind of important. It's recorded in 2 of the 3 Gospels.
It's keep it focused on that text.
Keep it
That's
on
what
the
they're
text.
coming for.
Yeah.
It's not a time to be super creative in that department.
Right.
Keep that, and again, it flows back to the first point. The overriding kind of point is know your audience. Then keep the text, the Christmas text, as that central text. And then leads us into point number 3. Then the third thing you should consider or keep in mind is keep it shallow.
Sounds weird. Go ahead.
Sounds weird, but to keep it shallow this is not the time where you want to get out your Greek text and you want to start exploring with your congregation the variant readings and how they might impact.
Yeah.
I had a great story, not on Christmas per se, but an Easter story, where somebody went to a church and the pastor that Sunday on Easter morning had a lengthy discussion on the variant readings of the end of Mark's gospel, right? Now, you probably know that. You're a preacher. You've dealt with that, right? And it was like, come on. You know, these are, again, it's a miss. You don't know your audience. You're missing that point, going back to
It's
the
a
first
great
one.
thing to preach on.
Sure.
Not that day.
For your regular folks that are there every single Sunday, you know, they might enjoy that because there's a lot of richness we can find there. But that's not the time to do
Right.
it. What they need is they need Christ crucified and risen for them. Just like this, they need Christ in that manger for them,
God with
right? Which is
them, God
coming.
for them, yeah.
So this is not the time to go into deep exegetical waters to get lost there, Lisa. Sometimes we can be guilty as preachers of giving our people problems that they don't really have, right?
Well, maybe you.
Yeah, well, I definitely do. And so you want to just keep that text central. The text is central, and you keep it shallow. That is, you tell the story. Just tell the Christmas story. Preach on that story. There's more than enough there to get after it with them, right? And that leads us into our fourth tip for preaching on Christmas Eve, which is quite simply, let the gospel dominate this sermon. And this kind of goes to what you started with at the very beginning, is this is not the time to demean or ridicule your audience because you haven't seen them since last Christmas or last Easter, right? They're there.
And even if they don't feel guilty when they're outside the building, when they're sitting there and they're listening to you preach, the law is already on their heart. I mean, 90% of them. It just is.
Yeah.
And recognize that. And give them the forgiveness they need to hear, the God that shows up in flesh, right? John 1:14, right?
And you know this even from people who show up on random Sundays, that you actually get to engage in conversation afterwards, and they're like, I didn't realize how much I missed this until I was there. And these people are there, and so give them what they've missed.
Yeah.
That's a good way to put it.
and,
Because they're not getting the gospel in the
Anywhere
world
else in
out
their
there,
life.
right? So give them what they're missing is the gospel. They're here. Man, they could have, maybe they just came because their granddaughter is in a play, a manger scene or something like that. Great, fine. You've got them
Celebrate
there.
Yeah.
Do that. Which leads us into our final one, which is quite simply celebrate with your people, with all those people that are there. That Christmas Eve, to preach that day, first of all, it's a privilege and you get to do that. And it's a joy that these people are coming for that. Now, they may come with, like we said, different reasons, different motivations, obligation, looking for entertainment to see the kid perform, whatever it is. But they're there. You have an opportunity to celebrate with them. And we were talking about this earlier, Matt. You kind of mentioned we celebrate like the way the shepherds did, the joy of the angels bring, like bring that through.
Right.
Let them rejoice. Like they should leave going, man, that was great. I had a wonderful time. I got to experience this message of good news of salvation for us. And so carry that through. Make it a big piece of what you do. So, I mean, I know there's different tips you might give, and you be sure to share them as well if other folks are looking below. They can find some of those things. But these are things to keep in mind when you're prepping for Christmas Eve. It's a great opportunity, and we thank God that you're there, that you're out there preaching this good word on Christmas Eve to all those who gather. Know your audience, man.
Yeah, give them Jesus.
Give them Jesus. Yeah, it's a great day. Merry Christmas to everybody, and we'll see you again next Sunday.
Yeah.
Back at it. God bless you.